Exactly 1 year ago, the sideline-sitting sinner himself, J. Cole, bounced into a battle he clearly wasn't ready for. He overestimated his worth, underestimated his opponent, and jumped into a lyrical war zone only to vanish before Kendrick Lamar or anyone else could even respond. He stirred the pot, sent a few bars, and then defeated, effectively removing himself from a beef that was never really his to begin with. And looking back now, it's actually kind of fitting that Cole had the most forgettable diss track out of the entire Big Three. Would I have guessed Kendrick would drop the biggest hit of the beef? Maybe not, but one thing was obvious. When like that dropped, this was Cole's fight. Sure, Kendrick threw a few shots at him, but it was clear this was meant to be Kendrick as Drake, two titans tearing each other apart until one was left standing. And Cole, he just wasn't built for that level of war, especially not against someone he used to call a friend and openly admired. By April 4th, it had been 9 days since Kendrick shocked the world with his Like That verse. The atmosphere was electric. Nobody knew what was coming next. What did Kendrick want? Why now, after nearly 5 years off, he returned with fire in his eyes and strategically surrounded himself with the likes of future Metro Boomin, Rick Ross, and the Wheat Doll, sending a message. Drake had enemies, and they were closing in. But the biggest question, would Drake respond? And what about Cole? Was Kendrick really going at him too? For some, it was hard to believe. Kendrick and Cole were supposed to be cool people, still remembered the Black Friday remixes, the rumored collab tape, the decade-old mutual respect. So for Cole to jump into the fray didn't make sense, especially with the timing of everything. Kendrick dropped like that right after Drake and Cole's joint big as the Super Bowl tour ended. And here's where things get interesting. Drake was still on tour performing nightly while Cole had gone back home. Had they both still been on the road together when Like That dropped, this whole thing could have gone differently. Think about it, night after night, they were on stage hugging, collaborating, doing sentimental speeches about each other being the greatest rapper alive. If they were together when Kendrick's verse dropped, they could formulated a game plan, got in the studio, dropped a joint diss. The narrative might have shifted completely. Instead, Kendrick caught them off balance, Drake, distracted by touring, Cole alone in his thoughts. And so with a Spider-Man meme moment, Arif, Drake and Cole looking at each other like, who's gonna respond? First Cole blinked. It made sense at the time. Drake had just dropped For All the Dogs, probably not ready to jump into a new beef cycle. Cole, on the other hand, was teasing new music. He had YouTube series like Might Delete, later hinted at upcoming albums, like It's a Boy, The Fall Off, and dropped a flurry of features. The rollout seemed imminent. And on top of that, Cole had been moving with serious confidence in his raps, calling himself the greatest, claiming his spot in rap history. There was even speculation that Cole and Drake might team up on a diss track. They were together for so long, recording on tour it seemed possible, but Kendrick's timing made sure that didn't happen. He dropped Like That at the perfect moment. Cole was isolated, Drake was too busy, and the result was chaos. It's also worth mentioning that Cole's relationship with Kendrick used to run deep. Cole even introduced Kendrick to Dr. Dre, playing a pivotal role in launching his career. So there's definitely a strange emotional undercurrent to all of this. Cole may have played a role in putting Kendrick in the position to one day come back and lyrically ether the entire game, including him. Still, while Cole may have helped open doors for Kendrick, the connection between them had faded. They hadn't worked together in years. Meanwhile, Cole and Drake were performing together every night, dropping collabs like First Person Shooter and Evil Ways, giving each other flowers on stage. So when Kendrick aimed and fired, it was Cole who felt the shot hit, maybe even more than Drake at first. And maybe that's why Cole responded the way he did, emotionally, impulsively, and ultimately forgettably. It was just about the bars. It was about old friendships being tested, old loyalties cracking under pressure. So now, a year later, we can look back and see just how wild that moment was. J. Cole entered a battle that was never really his, tried to fire back then, backed out, and let the real fight begin. And Kendrick, he played the long game, lined everything up, and lit the fuse at the perfect time. Now let's be clear, Cole's been the one talking like he's the greatest for a while now. And honestly, you could argue he's been in that mindset since around 2019. Kendrick, on the other hand, took long breaks between albums. I know some of y'all are gonna be mad at me in the comments for saying it's like rage bait at this point, but it's facts. Between 2011 and 2017, Kendrick dropped 5 projects in 6 years. But from 2017 to 2023, only 2.5. The drop-off was real. Meanwhile, Cole wasn't exactly flooding the market either. He dropped KOD in 2018, The Off-Season in 2021, and The Revenge of the Dreamers compilation. But the difference was Cole felt more present. His guest verses were making waves. He was building Dreamville, launching the Dreamville Festival, and putting on a clinic every time he hopped on a feature. He felt active, even if the numbers did show a huge output, and that run of standout verses made it feel like Cole had truly entered his prime. He even talked about it on his diss to Kendrick. Well, break that down bar by bar later, but the shift started in 2019 when Cole dubbed himself the middle child. He said he didn't fully fit in with the new wave your Kodak's 21s, the SoundCloud generation, but hadn't quite reached the same tier as the generation before him, like Jay's Nas M or Kanye. He was still chasing that breakthrough moment, this Illmatic college dropout, or Reasonable Doubt. And when you look at the big three, Drake, Kendrick, and call it that middle child label, it's different. Out of all three, Cole was the only one who really acknowledged that top three concept publicly in a 2021 track. He addressed how people always seemed to give him the bronze third place. But he flipped it, saying his greatness was rooted in his passion and constant evolution, that in the long run, people would catch up to his version of greatness. Fast forward to 2023 and Cole is confidently calling himself the greatest rapper alive. You could hear it all over his first-person shooter verse. With Drake, that song was a turning point. On one hand, it was a celebration, Drake and Cole shoulder to shoulder taking the crown. But at the same time, Cole brought up that same the Met world, placing him third, brushing him aside. It's something I talked about in a video last year. When Drake dropped his diss, Cole is the middle child of the big three. Think of it like three brothers. Drake is the big bro, blew up first, hit the mainstream first, and has been effortlessly dropping hit records since day one. He set the benchmark for commercial success in their generation. Cole came up shortly after, around 20 million, 100 in 2011. Technically, he's the better rapper, but he never quite reached the commercial peaks Drake did, and Cole admitted that in a podcast at the end of 2024. He said Drake was always the one he measured himself against, that level of visibility, that success. That's what Cole wanted. Then there's Kendrick, the little brother. And you know how the youngest in the family dynamic usually goes, the most gifted, the most praised, the chosen one. Kendrick wasn't even supposed to be TDE's breakout star. Rock was. But with Section 80 and Good Kid M.A.A.D. City, Kendrick became on-scene a generation artist. That debut was the biggest wed scene since the college dropout, and it was exactly what Cole had been chasing his whole career. Kendrick kept his artistic integrity, made cohesive albums, pushed boundaries, and still managed to score hits. He got the love from critics, fans, and the culture in a way that Drake and Cole didn't. He was the youngest and yet the one with the highest ceiling. Even when Cole dropped his magnum opus, Forest Hills Drive, in 2014. Look at what Drake and Kendrick did just 1 year later. Kendrick gave us To Pimp a Butterfly. Drake dropped If You're Reading This, Body Meek Mill, and launched What a Time to Be Alive and Views soon after. While Forest Hills Drive was a classic, Cole still felt overlooked, so 2024 felt like his time to prove it. Kendrick had dropped Mr. Morale, The Big Steppers, which showed a more personal, vulnerable side. He admitted he had to step away from the savior complex, ending the album with I Chose Me. Meanwhile, Drake was talking about health issues and taking a break. Cole, he was in the best shape of his career, pen sharper than ever and teasing a new project. This was supposed to be his moment, had been setting it up with all those verses, building the perception that he was now at the top. So when Kendrick dropped like that, seemingly responding to Cole's first-person shooter comments, there was no way Cole could just drop an album and ignore it. Had been claiming GOAT status, calling himself the greatest in his prime. You can't say all that, then duck when smoke comes. And this is where Cole miscalculated. He saw Kendrick's vulnerability on Mr. Morale and mistook it for weakness. His ego was fully inflated, believed it was finally his time, but Kendrick had been quiet for a reason. At some point, J. Cole had to address it. He pigeonholed himself with how had been talking the whole greatest alive, claimed the noose around your favorite rapper's neck type talk. If he really believed in what he said, he had to show it. And yeah, we all wanted him to respond to Kendrick's like that. But instead of just a response, Cole did something bolder than ever before. He was the first to respond. In the coming weeks, we're gonna break down every diss track that came out of this war, and trust there were a lot, not just Drake vs. Kendrick. We got 8 tracks in 5 days from those two alone. Rick Ross, AAP Rocky, The Wheat, Future, Metro Boomin, The Game, Chris Brown, Quavote. All jumped in. It was chaos. But before all of that, J. Cole sparked the fire. It started with his verse on First-Person Shooter, which triggered Kendrick's Like That, and 9 days later, it was Callin' Out Draco responded first. While Drake was giving pet talks on tour, saying he was 10 toes down in Florida, and hyping fans up about self-worth. Cole was in the booth ready for war. And it's wild to think the same guy who once apologized to Nas for making a hit song, the same guy who responded to Lil Pump with a lyrical PSA, and even sat down with him for a whole interview, that guy was now ready to be first in a lyrical shootout against Kendrick Lamar. Maybe he thought it would be a friendly fade. Maybe he figured it'd be him and Drake vs Kendrick, or maybe Cole really believed he was the Muhammad Ali of hip-hop like he claimed. But either way, it was Cole's talk that started this. Kendrick only made like that in response to the Big Three talk, and specifically to Cole's verse on First-Person Shooter. And let's be real, like, that was like 85 aimed at Drake, only a fraction was directed at Cole. I remember making content then, and nobody expected Cole to be the first person shooting 9 Days of Silence after Kendrick dropped then. Boom, a surprise Cole mixtape, might delete later 12 tracks mixtape Energy, a warm-up for his magnum opus, The Fall Off. But if his album titles are as prophetic as this one, he might want to rethink calling it The Fall Off. Still, he kept that diss track on the project just long enough to count for first-week streaming numbers. Marketing-wise, smart move. But let's be honest though, y'all remember where you were when Might Delete Later dropped early 2025, and we already gotten Playboi Carti's Music a Katy album, 21 Savage, and 2 full Metro X Future albums, plus that one Kendrick verse that shook the game. So when Cole dropped his project, fans were excited. We'd seen the polished albums, the elite pen. Now we wanted that gritty mixtape Energy. Cole spazzing over aggressive beats. But again, like that had just dropped, there was no way he could drop this project without addressing it. And boy, he did, but not before a whole lot of tough talk. The foreshadowing on this project painful in hindsight. On the intro alone, he raps, "I got bars forever. Never will a call, drop no hammer like a mall cop, still the hardest guy on earth from Jan 1st until the ball drop." He goes on, "Try to cancel my stuff ill, still be on stage with my hand on my junk." Cole was talking crazy. Meanwhile, Drake, he actually did that and rapped about it. There's only Big Dan, there's video proof. That alone could cost him the battle, but back to Khaled, this intro was a statement, and it set the tone for the entire project. Then track 2 drops, and again Cole is talking greasy. "I said I was finished, but I'm on another 2 summers." Cole's message was clear. His in his prime, any rapper stepping to him is getting buried. He's claiming to be leagues above any freshman class, and he's daring challengers to come for the throne or get hit in the spine. The first 2 tracks on Might Delete Later are full of bold, aggressive energy. But the biggest moment of the entire project that comes at the end with the final track, 7-Minute Drill. Now, for those unfamiliar, the title comes from a real creative exercise Cole uses in the studio. It's a way to keep his pen sharp. Hell, set a timer for 7 minutes and challenge either a producer or a fellow rapper to whip something up. For producers, he might hand over a sample. For rappers, a beat. The goal: create something, anything, within 7 minutes. It's a mental drill to break past overthinking, to tap into that raw, instinctive creativity. Cole himself said he's used this method to fight writer's block. He's done it with friends and collaborators like T- who will produce part of this very track. Ironically, 7-Minute Drill is the one song where Cole's pen is in question more than ever before. The stakes were high and the drill became a diss. The track has 2 beats, one by Conductor Williams, who worked with Drake in 2023, and one by T-, known for producing early Drake classics like Headlines and I Am. On one, Cole and T- go way back, so much so that Cole was even a groomsman at T- wedding. And while this track was later pulled from Spotify, fans like me were bumping it heavy on SoundCloud. As a banger, it hits hard on the hardest from this whole rap beef. But as a diss track, that's where things fall apart. Cole starts the song with a chorus, light work like it's PWC, it's a cold world. Keep that heat under your seat. I got a phone call, they say somebody's dissing. You want some attention. It comes with extensions. He opens by brushing it off as light work, a clear response to Kendrick's. Like that, where he dismissed Cole's catalog as a light pack. And Cole flips that back later in the track to attack Kendrick's own discography. He also name drops Cold World, something we haven't heard much since his mixed feelings around his debut album. But here, it's back in full force. Now Cole assumes Kendrick is dissing for clout. You want attention. It comes with extensions, but that misreads the intent. Kendrick was seeking attention. He was challenging the game, staking his claim for the crown. Like he said later in Euphoria, this was about revitalizing competition in hip-hop, not chasing headlines. Cole's bar also likely references Kendrick's line in Pusha T's Nostalgia. When it's tension in the air, nines come with extensions. And Kendrick referenced the 9mm again in Like That rapping. This is a K around all these nines. He gone see the Pet Cemetery. That line was a triple intender. Kendrick K surrounded by J. Cole and Drake. The nines referencing both guns and a K in cards, 10/9s, and flipping Drake's for all the dogs into a graveyard metaphor. Cole responds with more aggressive dog imagery. My dog like say the word he on BS, he itchin' done. Put in so much work in the streets, he got pension. I told him chill out how I look having a henchman, if shocks get to poppin' in the one doing the clenchin'. This echoes Kendrick's I got two teeth with me line from Like That, where he references his longtime security team Cole's saying, yeah, I got shooter's bud if it comes down to it. I'm the one who handles it, as a hook it's fire. It has that gym energy, that high-octane aggression fans love from Cole. But contextually it shows Cole underestimating the depth and venom Kendrick was packing. He treated this like sparring. Kendrick was swinging for the belt. So when Cole titles the track 7-minute drill, he's implying it was written and recorded in that time frame. And it shows it's raw, energetic, but not surgical. And in a battle with Kendrick Lamar, you mean to be surgical still as an isolated song it bangs. The T- beat is flawless, that first half easily one of Cole's most energetic in years. But once you look at it in the context of this battle, it doesn't hold weight, his firing shots, but not landing haymakers. And that's the difference. This track might started as a writing exercise, but it ended up being the moment where Cole's place in this war was truly tested and where he might overplayed his hand. In the first verse, Cole drops a line, I came up in the Ville, so I am good, when it's tension, he's still doing shows, but he fell off like The Simpsons. This is a clear shot at Kendrick Lamar, referencing his post-Morale era. At the time, Kendrick had just broken the record for the highest-grossing hip-hop tour in history. Despite the success, Cole implies Kendrick's music isn't hitting the same way it once did, suggesting he's lost his touch. He's still out there performing, but it's no longer the cultural force it once was. The Simpsons comparison, a double intender. Sure, the show's still running, but its prime is long gone. This is Cole positioning himself as being in his prime, while Kendrick's musical output seems to have plateaued. As the verse continues, Cole takes aim at Kendrick's career saying, but they gassed it, your third one was massive. And that was your prime, I was trailing right behind. And now I just now hit mine. Here Cole's reflecting on Kendrick's entire catalog, and it's a subtle dig at the way Kendrick has been elevated in hip-hop. While many fans consider Section 80 Kendrick's debut, it was Good Kid M.A.A.D. City that really put him on the map. In a podcast that Cole dropped about 6 or 7 months after this diss track was removed, he discusses his career journey from his early struggles to the breakthrough success of Forest Hills Drive. In Cole's early years, he faced huge pressure from his label, especially from Jay's. He was forced to create a radio-friendly hit to gain leverage, and his art was somewhat compromised. Kendrick, on the other hand, came in with Good Kid M.A.A.D. City, a fully realized, cohesive album. No compromises, the cultural impact was immediate, and Cole felt a deep sense of resentment seeing Kendrick surpass him with ease. Kendrick's debut was a classic, and it's hard not to compare it to Cole's more rushed debut, Cole World, the sideline story, which felt like it was made under pressure to meet expectations. Cole acknowledges Kendrick's breakthrough in the line, your first one was classic, Good Kid M.A.A.D. City, absolute classic. But then he flips the script, adding your last one was tragic, his referring to Mr. Morale. The Big Steppers, Kendrick's latest album at the time, the album was tragic in its subject matter, touching on themes like infidelity, trauma, and self-reflection, but beautifully executed. Cole, however, reduces it to a narrative of Kendrick stepping away from the game for personal growth, his framing Kendrick's self-reflection as a retreat, contrasting it with his own competitive, relentless approach to the rap game. This is where Cole's perspective diverges sharply from Kendrick's. While Kendrick is working through deep emotional themes in Mr. Morale, Cole is still in full competitive mode. He's been publicly claiming to be in his prime, ready to assert himself as the best, while Kendrick is talking about self-healing and therapy. The angle Cole chooses here is to downplay Kendrick's album as a retreat, not acknowledging the emotional weight it carries. Interestingly, both Cole and Drake tried to use Kendrick's personal revelations in his music against him. Drake, with his Heart Part 6 and Family Matters, misinterpreted Kendrick's vulnerability as a weakness, mocking his journey of self-healing. Similarly, Cole attacks Kendrick's To Pimp a Butterfly, calling it a snooze fest. Your second one put people to sleep, but they gassed it. To Pimp a Butterfly was Kendrick's most socially conscious album, deeply reflective on the struggles of Black America And the internal battles he fought, Cole brushes it off as a sleepy album, diminishing its cultural and artistic impact, which was recognized by critics and activists alike. When Cole says your third one was massive, that was your prime. I was trailing right behind. I just now hit mine, as referring to Kendrick's Damn, which was released in 2017. This was the moment Kendrick claimed the crown in hip-hop, outselling Drake for the first time in a single year. Hillem became a cultural moment, and Kendrick solidified his status as the leader of the new generation. At that point, Cole had yet to reach the same commercial and cultural heights, but now, with 2014 Forest Hill Drive under his belt, he's feeling like he's finally hit his stride. But Cole's response seems to miss a key point. He critiques Kendrick's entire discography, without truly acknowledging the layers of complexity within Kendrick's music. His critiques are surface level. It dismisses the themes of Mr. Morale as tragic and calls to Pimp a Butterfly a bore, while completely ignoring the artistic risk and depth behind those projects. It's clear that Cole sees Kendrick's success as a challenge, and he's using Kendrick's more introspective personal work as fuel for his competitive fire. However, by oversimplifying Kendrick's albums, Cole risks coming off as someone who doesn't fully appreciate the magnitude of Kendrick's contributions to the culture. In conclusion, Cole is positioning himself as the one who's been consistent, while Kendrick took a step back for self-reflection. Middle Child is now certified 20 times platinum, the only hip-hop song in history to reach 20 million in sales. This was Kendrick's Michael Jackson era. But after that massive success, he took a long break between Damn and Mr. Morale, the big steppers, roughly 5 years. Meanwhile, during that time, Cole had his feature run, releasing several big projects, refining his pen and strengthening his Dreamville roster with stars like J.I.D. and Cause. By the time Damn dropped, Cole was still a few steps behind, still in that middle child position. But with his latest project, My Delete Later, Cole confidently declared, "Now I'm front of the line." With a comfortable lead, he had reached the top. And now Kendrick wants a piece of that crown. It's almost poetic. As soon as Cole reaches his peak, Kendrick comes for him. In the next line, Cole raps, "He caught me a perfect time. Jump up and see," signaling that this is the moment he's been waiting for. Has ready to take on the challenge, has been preparing for this. And now that he's on top, Kendrick wants to claim it back. But Cole makes it clear he got there through bars, not controversy. This is a response to what Big Akademiks said about Kendrick being known for creating big moments, not necessarily for his battle rap skills. Cole made his career on verses on his feature runs, on his steady improvement, not by stirring up drama. But here's where Cole makes a miscalculation. He doesn't understand Kendrick's strategy. For Kendrick, it's always been more than just about bars. Kendrick uses his music as a vessel for deeper reflection on cultural and personal issues. His albums are layered with meaning and themes about societal struggles and personal healing, something Cole isn't acknowledging here. Cole dismisses Kendrick's approach and says, "Funny thing about it, I don't even want the prestige, F the Grammys. Those guys ain't never done nothing for me." This line serves two purposes. It downplays Kendrick's critical acclaim and highlights that Cole didn't need industry recognition to make it to the top. He made it on his own terms with his pen. However, this dismissive attitude doesn't take into account the full scope of Kendrick's work. Kendrick has consistently crafted albums that are both critically and commercially successful, addressing pressing societal issues, while also maintaining mainstream appeal. He didn't need to rely on the Grammys to be seen as a force in hip-hop. Cole is simply downplaying the very thing that Kendrick has perfected. Cole also reflects on his history with Kendrick. In his Inevitable podcast, Cole admitted Kendrick was the first rapper he felt was truly a brother in the game. They had a genuine connection, spending countless hours in the studio listening to classic records and discussing the craft of hip-hop. They were close enough to consider working on a collaborative album. Kendrick was like a brother to Cole, someone who shared his love and passion for hip-hop. So when Cole raps, "Lord, don't make me have to smoke this guy 'cause I've with him. But if push comes to shove on this mic, I will humble him." You can feel the internal conflict. It's not just about the competition, it's about the emotional weight of possibly having to go at someone he considers a brother. Then Cole uses a metaphor from the classic 1991 movie New Jack City. In the movie, Nino Brown, a ruthless crime boss, has to take out his best friend G-Money to secure his dominance. Cole compares himself to Nino, saying he might have to take out Kendrick in the rap game. But here's the twist. Cole is conflicted. He does want to do it, but if it comes down to it, he will. He's basically saying he'll have to take Kendrick out of the game, But it'll hurt me, just like Nino had to take out his friend. It's a metaphor for the emotional toll this rivalry would take on Cole, as Kendrick was once like a brother to him. Cole raps Nino with this thing that's that new Jack City meme. I'm aiming at G Money crying tears before I bust at him, calling back to the infamous scene where Nino Brown, played by Wesley Snipes, is about to kill his best friend G Money while crying. It's a powerful and emotional metaphor. Cole is saying he might have to kill Kendrick's career in the rap game, but it'll hurt him deeply, just like Nino. It's not something he wants to do, but he'll do it if necessary. It's a twist on the Spider-Man meme, where Cole and Drake are pointing at each other as equals, trying to figure out who's the greatest. Now Cole is in the position where he might have to take Kendrick out of the game entirely, just like Nino did to G Money. This brings the emotional weight of the rivalry to the forefront as the beat changes, the energy shifts. The first part of the track had an upbeat, confident vibe, as Cole confidently declares his dominance. But with the beat switch, the tone becomes more introspective. The tension between Cole's pride and his conflicted feelings about Kendrick becomes more apparent. Lord, please don't make me have to smoke this guy, cause I'm going to be like aiming the firearm and crying tears as I do it. Yeah, Cole had his finger on the delete button while recording this track, making it clear that he's conflicted. So Cole starts his second verse by rapping, I got mixed feelings about these effing rap guys. It's over for that cap, were the official cap pillars. This is a callback to Ice Cube's legendary diss track, No Vaseline, where he raps, the bigger the cap, the bigger the peeling. Cole is saying he's the official caterpillar, like a butterfly's transformation. If you want to pimp a butterfly, it starts off as a caterpillar, and Cole's making it clear Kendrick's full of cap, and it's over for that. Cole continues 26. We don't act at people, we get at people. Shoot the guys, lights out, yeah, my dog stat fillers. The 26 refers to the county code for Cumberland County, where Cole's from. He's saying him and his dogs are ready to handle business. This echoes Kendrick's line from Like That, where he rapped about his dogs being buried and dealing with things with nines. Here Cole's saying his dogs are the ones to get the job done. He then drops a few more bars. Stat stuffers, triple double, get your butt black duffled, body bag, body bag, body bag. Cole World, your instructor for Pilates class. Get a rapper stretched if I feel the disrespect. It's a clever double entender. Pilates means getting stretched, and he's saying if Kendrick crosses the line, hell, get stretched literally in a body bag. Has still laughing, but the tone is serious, hinting at the emotional conflict of taking Kendrick out. While Kendrick's talking about proving he's a problem, Cole's still caught up in the idea of crying while doing it. Now Cole brings some specific shots at Kendrick's physical stature. Your arms might be too short to box with the god who lives his life without the pressures of a constant facade. Here Cole is talking about how Kendrick might be too short to handle him, not just physically but lyrically as well. He's saying Kendrick can't compete with him bar for bar, because Cole doesn't live a life full of fake personas. Unlike Kendrick's constant shifts between being a sensitive, reflective artist and an aggressive contender, Cole's making it clear, I got here off the bars, not the controversy. He doesn't feel the need to fake a persona to stay relevant in the game. Unlike Kendrick, who he critiques for using hyperbole and facades, Cole stays true to himself, freed from that pressure. He calls Kendrick's tough talk on first-person shooter symbolic, nothing more than exaggerated bravado. He then goes further, referencing a 9mm firearm, I pray for peace. But if a guy sees these positive vibes, a Falcon 9 inside my pocket, this rocket gonna fly. The Falcon 9 is a rocket developed by SpaceX, and Cole's comparing his weaker weapon, the 9mm, to the Falcon 9 rocket, is making it clear that he's got the weaker weapon compared to Kendrick's AK-47. But even that weaker gun is ready to fire when needed. It's an ironic twist, because Cole's acknowledging that his weapon is the most powerful, but it'll still do the job. Cole's flow then shifts into a more reflective tone. Now it's popping outside like the top of July, a clear reference to July 4th, America's Independence Day. Ironically, this was also the day Kendrick released the Like That music video, a major moment in this feud. If Drake had sued Kendrick, it's likely this battle wouldn't have escalated as it did. July 4th was Kendrick's victory lap, and Cole is foreshadowing the tension, saying things are popping off just like Independence Day. Then Cole reflects on the pressure he felt in this battle. My texts are flooded with the hunger for a toxic reply. People are blowing up my line, begging me to drop a response. I'm hesitant. I love my brother, but I'm not gonna lie. Am powered up for real. That stuff would be like swatting a fly. Has torn between giving into the pressure from fans and doing what feels right, is fueled by the people around him. But deep down, He knows it might be an unnecessary battle, yet he admits I am powered up for real later in Port Antonio. Cole reflects on why he eventually dropped out of the battle. He only got involved because of outside pressures to respond. But here he's being honest about his hesitation. I love my brother, but am hesitant to do it. It's clear Cole wasn't ready for this feud. But the pressure to react was overwhelming. Cole then critiques Kendrick's catalog, 4 albums in 12 years I can divide. This is a callback to Jay's takeover, where he said 4 albums in 10 years I can divide. Cole's pointing out Kendrick's relatively small output. But Cole's math is a bit offbeat. The time he recorded this, Kendrick had released 4 albums in about 10 years, not 12. Still, Cole's critique isn't entirely wrong, considering that Kendrick's music often carried more weight than Cole's albums. Cole continues by critiquing Kendrick's lack of recent music, suggesting that Kendrick has been quiet while he's crying and sending disses. For Cole, crying while sending a diss is his form of violence. He continues with more double entendres about violence. Put pictures in my home. Aim the chrome at your eyelids, fly pebbles at your dome, with the Stone Temple Pilots. This is a clever double entendre referencing the rock band Stone Temple Pilots, while saying his flying pebbles at your dome. Head stone is like pebbles, and temple refers to the dome as target. Cole's the pilot guiding the stones toward your temple. It's an interesting flip, but the humor lands. Cole might been crying while writing these bars too. Then Cole does something rare in a diss song. Explicitly states, this is the diss track, but a warning shot. This moment is pivotal because for a listener it feels like the tension dissipates. The track, instead of intensifying the battle, almost softens it. His warning Kendrick not attacking him. This is where Cole's diss track starts feeling anticlimactic. For a track that's supposed to be an aggressive response, it doesn't hit as hard. Instead of directly attacking Kendrick, Cole uses general violent metaphors without ever directly naming him, unlike Kendrick, who got specific with his shots at Drake and J. Cole. Cole throws some more baseless shots at Kendrick, like your arms are too short, and you don't drop albums much, and when you do they put people to sleep. Honestly, Cole's claim that Kendrick's albums put people to sleep feels hypocritical. His own work, often mellow with lo-fi beats and calm deliveries, has been called sleepy rap by critics. So when Cole says Kendrick's music is boring, it feels like he's projecting, especially since he's known for a similar vibe. After making sure Kendrick knows that this is just a warning shot, Cole acknowledges that the pressure to respond is weighing on him. He raps about people blowing up his line, urging him to reply, "My Jack," jumping about a rapper, making blasphemous sounds, switching sides, like the tassel on the cap and the gown. People are pressuring him about Kendrick's controversy, and Cole's giving in. It's clear he didn't want to respond, but he felt forced into it by outside expectations. Then Cole closes the verse by claiming, "I'm fully loaded, I can drop 2 classics right now." Is he referring to this track as one of them? Or does he mean the Fall Off is coming next? Either way, it's a curious statement. I'm not sure the Fall Off title fits well. Not only does it suggest retirement, but it also implies he's on his way out of the game by the end of the diss. Cole calls the Fall Off his next project right before he deletes this song, almost signaling that he's stepping back from this battle. This track's 7-minute drill is practically lost media. It was removed from streaming platforms within a week, which led many to forget about it. It's funny, because in hindsight this song gets overlooked because Cole himself made it disappear. He did the equivalent of releasing a diss track, then saying, "Never mind, I'm not ready for this." It's ironic considering the build-up to this point. Cole being the first to respond before Drake or Kendrick could fully engage. But once it was out, Cole seemed to regret it. The entire concept of the Fall Off is a weird self-fulfilling prophecy. By even mentioning it as his next project right after this diss, it almost feels like he's admitting his falling off before he even drops it. Cole's emotions are all over the place and this track is conflicted, and that uncertainty shows as the song ends. He expresses that Kendrick is still his friend, and that he'll be crying if they take it further. It's almost like Cole does want to fully engage in this battle. The diss is about Kendrick, but it feels like it's more about Cole grappling with his own feelings. At the Dreamville Festival, when Cole performed, he had the chance to flex his confidence, owning the stage with his biggest track of the year. But instead, Cole deflects. The crowd expected him to perform his diss track, but he tells them that the song would be removed from streaming platforms. He admits to feeling disgusted by his own words and praises Kendrick as one of the greatest to ever touch the mic. It's a full 180 from the tough talk in the track itself. In the end, 7-minute drill was the response fans hoped for. It felt rushed, inconsistent, and ultimately deleted. Cole may have been the first to take a swing, but he wasn't ready for the fallout. Despite all of his previous talk about being the greatest, Cole admitted he was prepared to fully go to war with Kendrick. This track was more about his internal struggle than about attacking Kendrick directly. When I listen to J. Cole's track, I can't help but feel conflicted. I see people trying to downplay Kendrick Lamar's greatness, and it doesn't sit right with me. Let's be clear, Kendrick is one of the greatest ever, technically speaking. We all love Kendrick, right? I do. But when Cole came out with that diss, it felt like the lamest, goofiest thing he could have done. It reminded me of when I was moving wrong 10 years ago. I prayed that Kendrick didn't feel any type of way. And if he did, I'd be ready to face him chin out and take my shot. But the past few days, they've been rough. They've made me realize how well I've been sleeping for the past decade. Now let's talk about Cole's apology. There were rumors that someone from the TDE camp, possibly someone who was even at that Dreamville festival, warned Cole not to get into this battle. They told him it would get ugly, that it wouldn't just be about warning shots, but about dark, horrible allegations flying from both sides. As we saw, that's exactly what happened. The whole situation got ugly really fast. I was disappointed in Cole for retracting his diss. It made me question the authenticity of his whole tough guy persona. For years, Cole's music made it seem like he was above the drama, the facade, but when it came to a real rap battle with Kendrick, he backed out. It wasn't even like Kendrick had responded, yet Cole deleted the track before Kendrick had the chance to respond. That's what bothered me the most. How can you claim to be the greatest and then back out when someone challenges you? On the other hand, Kendrick's silence at the time was strategic. While people were counting down the days waiting for him to respond, Kendrick was plotting. He wasn't weak. He was working on a calculated plan. You have to wonder what Kendrick was cooking up in the studio during that time. Was he planning disses for both Cole and Drake? I think Kendrick would take a very different approach with Cole than he did with Drake. While Drake was fair game for jokes about his personal life and character, Cole lives a much more private life. So Kendrick couldn't really attack him in the same way. He couldn't make personal attacks on Cole's family or issues with women like he did with Drake. Cole had a different kind of rise, been a more consistent figure in the hip-hop scene, never really compromising his integrity the way Drake has for hits. If Kendrick had come at Cole, I think he would focused on how Cole has always been stuck between two worlds. Has never been able to achieve the commercial success that Drake did, nor has he ever received the critical acclaim Kendrick did. Kendrick could have attacked Cole's position in the rap game, questioning his legacy. You're not the hitmaker Drake is, and you're not the cultural force I am. And Cole himself has admitted this. He even said on the Inevitable podcast that early in his career, Jay's had to beg Drake to give him a hit. That moment crushed Cole because he knew he could never be the commercial hitmaker that Drake is. Has also never received the kind of cultural acclaim that Kendrick has, nor been considered a savior of hip-hop the way Kendrick was. Kendrick could easily use that against him in a battle. If you listen to Euphoria, you can hear subtle nods to Cole. I'm a selfish guy. The crown is heavy, I pray. They're my real friends. If not, I am going to be Melly. That could easily have been a diss aimed at both Drake and Cole. It's interesting to imagine how Kendrick might have gone after Cole. Would he have gone harder than he did on Drake? Could Kendrick have peeled back the curtain on Cole's insecurities in the rap game? I don't think Kendrick would have gone after Cole's family or personal life, but he would have had no problem addressing Cole's issues with his place in hip-hop. When I first heard about Cole pulling back, I was disappointed. It made me question where his legacy stood among the big three, but looking back, I actually think he made the right decision. Cole didn't need to get dragged through the mud. He didn't need to compromise his integrity for the sake of a rap battle. A week after the diss, we saw him chilling at the beach with his laptop headphones on, living life without letting the drama consume him. He stayed true to himself, and that's something that should be respected. Did his decision set him back in the big three conversation? Maybe, but in the grand scheme, it might have been the smartest move. He kept his sanity intact. He didn't have to get caught up in the mess. And that alone might have made him the winner of this battle. In a way, Cole came in second place, but not in the way people expected. He didn't have to engage in the ugly side of the rap game. And that's a move that people should respect. The battle might have been over, but the game of hip-hop and legacy is much bigger than any diss track. Maybe J. Cole is the GOAT right now, but would he still be greater if he'd stooped to a level that didn't feel authentic to him? I think the answer is no. Cole's authenticity is what defines his greatness. He said it himself in that song, where he reflected on the big three narrative putting him in third place. He followed it up by saying, "My passion is what defines my greatness. The fact that I'm constantly working harder to improve and never leaving this game. If I tried my hardest, I'm at peace knowing God didn't have it in his deck of cards for me." And that's exactly what we saw from Cole later in the year. After the battle, Cole made a comeback even bigger than Drake's. He dropped his Inevitable podcast, where he reflected on his entire journey from his early mixtape days to being signed by Jay's, dealing with label pressure, and competing with Drake and Kendrick. Ironically, that podcast was recorded before this whole beef began, but it foreshadowed how Cole truly felt about his place in the rap game. It all led to the 10th anniversary of Forest Hills Drive, where Cole performed at Madison Square Garden, selling out both shows. That concert was a celebration of his legacy, proving that his authenticity kept his fans loyal regardless of the critical praise Kendrick received. Cole admitted that he always felt the critics were undermining his work, especially when comparing him to Kendrick or Drake. But he carved out his own lane, defining greatness in his own way. And while we may look at 7-Minute Drill as a missed poem that was rightfully deleted, let's not forget that Cole had the courage and love for hip-hop to be the first to accept the lyrical challenge. I remember working on a video reacting to the track when it dropped. As I was editing it, Cole went on stage at the Dreamville Festival and apologized. He admitted that was the worst thing, the weakest thing I had ever done. "Take your best shot. I'm deleting that song. And I'm gracefully bowing out. I had to change the entire video." That moment reshaped the perspective of the track, giving it a new context in the Big Three debate. And it was the first time the events in this battle were moving at lightning speed. So many insane moments happened so quickly that it became hard to keep up, especially with songs like Family Matters and Meet the Grams. But Cole's first move, and then his swift apology, was the first major moment where things escalated to a point that I couldn't keep up. It was an absolutely legendary period in hip-hop. The timeline of this battle was remarkably short, less than a month and a half. Kendrick dropped Like That on March 22, 2024. And then Drake dropped The Heart Part 6, the final diss track, on May 5th or 6th, 2024. In less than 6 weeks, we had 10 diss tracks from the Big Three, an unforgettable chapter in hip-hop history. No matter how things played out, one thing I think Drake missed in this battle was not bringing a fun hit track after the dark tones of Family Matters and Meet the Grams. Kendrick made a great move by releasing Not Like You, a West Coast banger that was upbeat and undeniable. In contrast, all of Drake's diss tracks had this dark, disgruntled undertone. Even push-ups felt like a chore for Drake, almost like he didn't want to start this whole thing. 7-Minute Drill had an upbeat energy that could have easily become a hit if it stayed on streaming platforms. Was it the best? Lyrically, probably not. It aged horribly, but the energy was infectious. And that's what made it exciting. Summer was right around the corner, and we were all gearing up for this massive battle. On a personal note, this is when I started creating content for you guys. I remember posting a video reacting to Like That and advising Drake not to respond. That video ended up reaching a decent audience on my channel, which helped me realize I could do this full-time. I am incredibly thankful for the journey we've been on together. If you guys have any dreams, remember that making them come true is just the combination of passion and hard work. If I can help you get started on a similar journey, feel free to reach out. My Instagram is linked on my YouTube channel. Looking back at this beef, I think we can all agree that it was a special time. Cole releasing these tracks, then deleting them, keeping us on our toes. Everything happened so quickly. As we reflect on the chaos of that period, I'm excited to continue covering the anniversary of every diss track from this battle. From May 3rd to May 6th, we had 5 major tracks drop, and I'll be diving deep into each one. It's going to be a crazy week, but stick around. I appreciate you all so much, and remember to message me anytime if you've got questions about starting a YouTube channel or getting into the content creation game. As we wrap this up, I want to know, where does Cole go from here? Can he still make the case for being one of the greats? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll catch you guys in the next video.